We pray that you'd give us your wisdom as we deal with the issues that will affect our city. We pray that you'd guide them. We thank you for loving us. We thank you for saving us. We thank you for giving us life and keeping us in our faith with you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for joining us for this meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen. We lost our feed to suddenly, is it back up? Okay, it's back up. Roll call to determine a quorum.
Mr. Moore?
Present.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Nason?
Here.
Mr. Armstrong?
Here.
Mr. Locke?
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Goldman. Item number 3, announcements. I received some information from the Louisiana Municipal Association on the Let's Move campaign, and I have tasked the Recreation Department with engaging our students once again in that endeavor as we did last year. Also received some information about the bullying, anti-bullying. President Obama had a conference today in reference to that, and I felt real good because we have already united with the school system to address bullying in our school system, so let us continue to support that endeavor. The Neighborhood Watch program we had a couple of weeks ago, I want to thank all of the participants. We have 2 organized Neighborhood Watch programs instituted, and we certainly need your support to continue to make sure that all of our neighborhoods are covered. I wish to express my appreciation to the presenters for that program. Mark Green and I will be sitting in on a webinar for community achievement. If you will recall, on last year, we did get recognized for our efforts with our recovery plan, so we are looking around in our community to submit some more information on our growth and development. About a week ago, I attended a Downtown Retail Association meeting, and they are planning a series of events for May, and certainly our local merchants need your support, so let us be mindful of the activities that they will be conducting during the month of May. I appreciate your attendance tonight, and in these critical times, we certainly need all of the support and input that we can get to get through these tough times. And let me spend just a few minutes talking to you about a meeting that was recently held and the Mayor and Board of Aldermen did not attend. There is a procedure and an ethical law that governs how we attend meetings and who calls the meetings, and if you have 3 or more, you have to have an agenda that's posted. Mr. Lawrence, would you speak to that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, also Board of Aldermen and all who are present, anytime the Mayor and Board of Aldermen convene to discuss city business, that's a meeting, particularly if a quorum is present. And in connection with the, I guess, the meeting or the conference that was convened to discuss this issue, was it last week or at some point prior to today, I think that there was an en masse invitation that was given to all of you. And I am not sure as to whether or not that meeting was posted and noticed as a meeting that you would be at discussing matters that are pertinent and of importance to the city. And so for that reason, you had to be very guarded about attending that type of function, particularly where you would engage in deliberative types of acts involving city business. So I think out of an abundance of precaution and noting that that meeting was not posted, it was best that you not attend.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. We certainly want the public to know that we share your interests, but we are governed by ethical laws that tell us how we should conduct business. I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about the financial forecast for the city of Bastrop. As you all are so well acquainted with the departure of IP, fast food restaurants, automobile dealerships, and the untold number of other businesses that have downsized, our revenue stream has decreased, leaving about a $1.3 million hole in our budget. But the expenses are not going down. We are a population of 11,365 people, and we have to provide services. The needs have not changed, even though the money has changed. Let's take a look at the PowerPoint presentation on the board. When you look at municipal retirement, and as you can see, and I saw in the Monroe paper this morning, where they are wrestling with the same thing that we are wrestling with. At 2009, 2010, 13.5%. And if you will look at the, I'm just going to go through them. I don't want to be preoccupied with that. Look at 2010, let's go back to the other one. 2010, 2011, you see the increase, 14.25%. 2011, 2012, 16.75%. Go to the next one, please. Fire retirement, 2009, 2010, 14%. 2010, 11, 21.5%. 2011, 2012, 25.25%. Next one, please. Police retirement, 2009, 2010, 11%. 2010, 11, 25%. Projected for 2011, 12, 28%. Next one. State retirement, 2009, 10, 18.6%. 2010, 11, 22%. 2011, 12, projected at 30.5%. Next one. Increased retirement, 2009 to 2012. Fire, 11.25%. Police, 17%. Municipal, 3.25%. State, 11.9%. Next one. Municipal retirement increases. Let's look at it in terms of dollars. In 2009-10, $161,933. 2010-11, $170,288. 2011-12, projected at $200,163. Next one. Fire retirement increases. 2009-10, $168,638. 10-11, $265,525. 2011-12, $319,412. Next one. Police retirement increase in terms of dollars. 2009-10, $123,364. 2010-11, $280,161. Projected for 2011-12, $313,780. Next one. State retirement increase. 2009-10, $4,678. 2010-11, $5,537. 2011-12, $7,677. Okay, I'm finished with that one. Total retirement cost. 2009-10, $458,613. Now, if you will look at the projection for 2011-12, that's almost $1 million, $841,032. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Floyd. Where do we cut? Every cut has a consequence. Do you cut the police department? We have to have adequate staffing for protection of the citizens and protection of the police officers. If they have to respond to a call, domestic violence, they need adequate backup. If we cut and we have to cover a shift and have to pay overtime, that's time and a half. What do? Fire department. Disasters happen. We recently had the fire with Southern Plug. It took all of our firefighters available and in the surrounding areas. We need to be prepared for disasters in the event that they occur. Public Works and Recreation. They have already endured a cut. We're down 14 people in Public Works and Recreation. Do you want to cut there? What is it that you want to give up in order to sustain the services of the city? Animal control. Do we want to let animals roam the community? Do we cut that out completely and turn it over to the Humane Society and do nothing to support it? Main Street, salary has to be paid. Main Street has brought in millions of dollars, but we have to fund the salary for that position. Administration, we're required by legislative orders to have adequate staffing for check and balance system. So I just wanted to update you on where we are and the responsibility that we have, and we do care about your concerns. But each one of us assembled on this panel have an obligation to you to provide services and make sure that this city is safe and sound. I appreciate your attention for this presentation. And with that being said, I will move on to item number 4. Approval of the previous minutes, special meeting, February 16, 2011.
I'd like to make a motion.
We have a motion
I'll second that motion.
and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any public comments? Motion carries. Item number 5, Finance Committee Report, Resolution 11-1369, Bills and Claims for the month of February 2011. Mr. Locke.
Mayor, I move that we accept the Finance Committee Report, Resolution 11-1369, Bills and Claims for the month of February 2011.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. We have a motion
Second.
and second. Any questions, discussions, public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, discussion of fire representative to 911 board, Roger LeBrun. Mr. LeBrun, are you here? Would you stand there? Chief Montgomery.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I am Chief Montgomery of the Bastrop Fire Department. It is with extreme pleasure and pride that I present to you Roger LeBrun. He is dedicated to serving the citizens of Bastrop, Fire District 2, and the parish of Morehouse. He volunteered and was chosen to be part of the North Louisiana Rescue, an elite squad that consists of Ruston, West Monroe, Ouachita Parish, Monroe, and the Bastrop Fire Department. They are highly trained in emergency response. They will be available to go anywhere in the state or nation. It is my belief that firefighter LeBrun will do an outstanding job as representative of the Bastrop Fire Department on the 911 board. Thank you for your consideration.
At this time, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Are there any questions, discussion, public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. LeBrun, would you like to make any comments?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just looking forward to serving the members of my community.
By accepting. Item number 7, discussion action. Appointment to the Med Board, Mr. Larry Wilson. Mr. Wilson, are you here?
Hello,
Mayor, council, staff. I'm Larry Wilson.
Okay.
My background is primarily in workforce development. I have been associated with the MEDC board about 10 years ago, and I believe the years were 2000, 2001, when I was a self-employed consultant to that board. My background.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. He comes to us with a wealth of knowledge, and it is my pleasure to recommend Mr. Wilson to the board. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
So move.
I'll
Properly
second that
moved.
motion. And second. Are there any questions, discussions, public comments? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you very much.
Item number 8, discussion action video surveillance system bids for the police department. Chief Black.
Mayor and Alderman, this is just about the last project in the 2008 technology grant. We advertised for bids for some surveillance equipment. We received one bid, and it's out of, I think it was $42,000 from a company, Nexus, out of Monroe, and I recommend that we accept this bid.
All right. Having heard the information provided by Chief Black, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion, Mayor, to accept that bid.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Are there any questions, discussion, public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief Black. Item number 9, Tommy Williams Crawfish Fest 2011. Would you come to the podium, please? Would you come to the podium, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, pull him out.
That's okay.
My name is Tommy Williams. Thank you very much.
Okay.
My name is Tommy Williams, applying for a specialty permit for the Crawfest for April 28th, 29th, and 30th for beer sales.
Okay. 28, 29.
2029.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Chief Black, is everything in order?
I believe we did the same thing last year. It was a 3-day temporary permit, and I think all the state requires is a letter
A letter.
from the, I think, from the police department, and of course, with your permission.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We're looking forward to having some good crawfish.
Thank you. You're all welcome to come down.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, we'll need a vote.
Okay.
Motion.
At this time, I will entertain a motion.
So move.
I'll second that motion.
Properly moved and second. Are there any questions, discussion, public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're down to item number 10, and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 all deal with the utility companies. For number 10, we have Mrs. Rita Carroll. And as Mrs. Carroll makes her way to the microphone, and once you get to the microphone, Ms. Carroll, if you state your name and address, we are opening and allowing this time for public comments by state statute. But we will not allow this to turn into a combative question and answer session. We have our financial advisor here, we have our legal guidance here, who will take note of your questions, and after 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, after they have spoken, then we will address those items that they have recorded. Ms. Carroll, if you state your name and address, please.
My name is Rita Carroll, and I live at 410 Garfield Street, inside the city limits of Bastrop. All right, I'm here to voice my objection to the quick take of city plans to take the water company and the gas company, one or both. I came against it the last time when they wanted to buy the water company or wanted to force the water company to sell. Mayor Hawkins and I apparently didn't see eye to eye. But I'm sorry that y'all didn't get the power plant from IP. I know that would have helped, you know, a whole lot. But now, I just don't think there's any reason for you to force somebody to sell their business. If it couldn't be a peaceful take, you know, and I know you're gonna offer them fair market value of their property, but they've been doing this for 70-something years. And it would be new to the city to do. It's gonna be expensive for the city to take it over. One being the reason that they don't have anybody there to run it. They've had to hire out the waste treatment plant to another company. They had to hire somebody to run it. And I really think that money could be made if maybe the city got rid of some of this property that they have that they're not using, like the garment plant, which is running down on a daily basis. And just other properties that they have already taken because of past due taxes and stuff of that nature. But we've got to tighten our belts. You know, everybody's got to tighten their belts. The economy is in a bad shape. And every one of us has felt that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's...
Okay. 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. My time is up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can I say one other thing? And I don't want to sound like a broke record here, but like the song says, let it be. Just let it be.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll.
Thank you.
Item number 11, Mr. Randy Beaver. Mr. Beaver, you have 2 minutes. Please state your name, your address.
Good evening. I'm Randy Beaver. I'm the manager with People's Water Service. Residence is 407 Texas Street. And I'm sorry?
She was asking you to speak louder. Maybe you're not close enough to the mic.
Sure. I just want to People's Water Service has proven its reliability and gained the trust of this community by providing quality water resources for over 70 years to this community. We don't take lightly this level of customer confidence. We devote all our expertise and resources to maintaining this trust. Being visionary to this task, we've made recent investments of $2.4 million for capital upgrades to ensure continued quality water resources to this community for decades to come. I ask you to consider the ramifications of this utility's quick take action to your fellow citizens that work with me, for me at People's Water Service. These are highly certified and dedicated employees, and they're stewards of our water resources. And lately they've been under a cloud of turmoil and uncertainty, along with their families, wondering this prospect of certainty of what will happen, and even becoming city water employees. That's viewed with apprehension by them in light of the waste treatment operators that's currently being performed, the operations by outside contractors. I ask for your empathy, again, for your fellow citizens. Work with me at People's Water Service. Citizens have come to me on fixed incomes. They come in to pay their bills, and they've expressed to me, not disdain with their bill, but the situation here. And they have been supportive of the water rate control measures we've currently got in place. And that is with the citizens, as they've expressed dismay, they've expressed fear of these regulating measures being lost as a result of a quick take.
Mr. Beaver, would you wrap it up, please?
I'd be glad to. I ask you to consider that citizens of Bastrop did speak on this matter 12 years ago. They rejected the proposed change in water providers.
Mr. Beaver?
Yes.
I think you've exceeded your time. Thank you for your comments.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Item number 12, Reverend McCullough.
Basically, I have just two questions for us to think about, and I know we won't get an answer tonight. But what happens to the 18 people who have been involved for many, many years? And I've been told this saying that if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. What's going to be the difference between what they're doing and what the city's going to be able to do? And then the second question is, where will the money come from to purchase these two concerns here in the city? And will we understand that before the deal is made? Will it be by increasing our taxes, or how will we finance the purchase of these two companies? Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank
we'll
you,
be
Reverend
standing by.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mayor, we need his address.
Mr. Reverend McCullough?
Yes.
Would you state your name and address, please, for the record?
L.H. McCullough, 487 Orion, Bastrop, Louisiana, 71220. And while we're on that subject, we've been waiting for our street to be paved.
Thank you, Reverend McCullough. Item number 14, Ms. Dorothy Ford, Bastrop Morehouse Chamber of Commerce.
Did you skip one, Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Ford, if you'll hold back.
Jack.
Mr. McCauley. Item number 13. If you'll state your name, your address, 2 minutes, please.
My name is Jack Copley. I live at 703 Amherst here in town. I've been here for 7 years. I do have property in the parish also. I went to the meeting last week at the Visitor Center, and I have read the papers and asked a lot of questions. My concern is, obviously, what the city is wanting to do is get some money. I don't see how they can get any money by taking over the water company or the gas company. You may have the legal right to do that, and I think that's still to be determined. The question came up with the Reverend about how you're going to pay for it. You're going to have to issue some revenue bonds, and that's going to be a dicey issue. Also, the fact is, what money are you going to have if you are able to buy the water company? They're going to fight you. They are big corporations. They have lots of money and lots of attorneys. They're not going to give up this right very easily. So you're going to have an expense there. Also, you're going to have the expense of the bonds that if you can raise money on the bonds. Also, I understand from the paper that you would contract a company out of Chicago to manage the water company. Was that in the paper, or maybe it was at the meeting?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. I heard that probably at the meeting. I apologize for that. So in other words, what money are you going to be able to receive from these companies? Because it has to be the profit that they are making. So you can't sell their assets. You've got to have their services. And you've enjoyed that for 70 years in the case of the water company.
How are we on time, Mr. Lawrence?
A few seconds left.
I'll conclude with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you state your name, address?
Yeah. Yes, I'm Dorothy Ford with the Chamber of Commerce at 110 North Franklin in Bastrop. Thank y'all for letting me speak tonight. The membership of the Bastrop Morehouse Chamber of Commerce on March the 3rd asked that we take a stand against this takeover of the utility companies. The reasons being, the Chamber feels that Atmos and Peoples are doing an excellent job in operating their companies and in providing services. We feel that the city would not be as efficient in operating the companies. With the takeover, there would be no control over rate increases for the users of these two companies. With the takeover, there would be an estimated $104,000 lost in property taxes to Morehouse Parish. Without a doubt, it would be difficult for the Louisiana Economic Development and Morehouse Economic Development to draw new businesses to Morehouse Parish should the city purchase these companies. Chamber members believe as tax-paying citizens, we do have a right to know what this is costing us for y'all to be looking into this. To date, no one has told us what the attorney fees or the advisor fees are running the city. And in closing, we do feel that we do have that you do have an obligation to the citizens in Bastrop to listen to what it is that we want, and the chamber members are saying that we do not want or approve of this utility company takeover at this time. Thank you for your time.
Item number 15, Mr. Samuel Jackson. If you will state your name, your address.
My name is Reverend Samuel Jackson, 117 Talley Street, Bastrop, Louisiana. My question is, after not keeping campaign promises, after not looking at...
Excuse me. On the agenda, purchase of private sector...
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Can I state it by way of what?
It does not sound like it's germane to that question.
Okay, let me rephrase it. How can an administration seize a water company and guarantee the delivery of our gas services after shoddy work of sidewalks, not making bad decisions after bad decisions, after hiring or trying to hire consultants from other states, after getting people from out of state to deal with sidewalks, after not keeping promises after promises, making bad decisions after bad decisions, expect the people of Bastrop to entrust the delivery of our safety of our water system and the delivery of our gas to incompetent administration who make bad decisions after bad decisions day after day after day after day.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Steve Nasaka, you have made note of items of interest. I wish to thank you for your opinions that you have shared. Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll take your lead.
I've been cataloging the questions, and Mayor, as I shared with you and also with the Board of Alderpersons, people have been approaching me, and they've had a lot of questions. And many of those questions that were expressed that were expressed to me previously were expressed here tonight. And I think that in some instances we can answer many of these questions. In other instances, we don't have the right to interview the Board of Directors for People's Water. We don't have the right to question their legal counsel. We don't have the right to question their financial advisor. So there are some things that have to be off limits because we do not need to lose our position, if you will, in the negotiation that may follow. With that said, I think that there are some things that perhaps that we can answer because there were some valid points that were raised, and I don't know whether it's appropriate to do it here or do it at some point in the future or to do it in writing, but I think that many of these questions can be answered to an extent.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Steve Nasaka, our financial advisor. Any points of interest in having heard from Mr. Lawrence? If you'll come to the microphone.
Mayor, if I may join Mr.
Absolutely.
As well.
Good evening to all of you, and good evening to the public. I do want to make, in addressing a couple of concerns or issues that were raised, that were, as Doug said, all were valid and concerns raised, and I want to make sure that we cover a couple of things that I think are important. One is that with regard to the inference or the implication that the city's incapable of adequately operating a public utility, I would submit to you that there are over 440 communities just here in Louisiana that own and operate and maintain every day and provide quality water to their residents. And that is big communities like the city of New Orleans, small communities like Mer Rouge. So it is the rule rather than the exception for the numbers. They say what they say. Statistics are what they are. So as a result, I don't have any shortage of confidence in the city of Bastrop's ability to do.
Can I interrupt you just one second?
Go right in.
Because this is one of the major questions that I've heard over the past few days. I didn't realize the number of people who did not know that most of the towns and cities in this state own their water systems. Because here in Bastrop, the water system has been owned by a private entity for so long until I guess there are many who believe that it's sort of a foreign concept for cities to own water systems. So when that question was placed here on the table tonight, it didn't surprise me because people over the past couple of weeks have been expressing the same question. I'll say this. This is the first, this is one of the few communities that I know of that's a municipality, that's a city, that does not own its own water system. So, thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Second, to address one concern or question that Reverend McCullough raised relative to will we know all of the details before this is finalized? And the answer is it has to be. As a public body, the numbers, the details, what goes in, what comes out, will have to be netted out and presented to the council. Council will have to make a decision whether to proceed with that once all of the details are in place, and that's part of that's why we're in this process to gain and secure that information. The council members have to a man continued to reaffirm that and ask us as we've had briefing sessions with them to ensure that they can feel confident that that information will occur. That information exchange, those details, and the public necessity necessity for that to be public information will be preserved.
Steve, if you don't mind, let me. Go ahead. Because when I listened to Reverend McCullough, I had 3 questions that I jotted down that he raised. He wanted to know what would happen to the 18 people he said that are, I guess, employed by People's Water now. Well, the city will need people to run a water system.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, there will be a need for skilled people to actually operate the system. That's one point. Also, the Reverend asked the question, where would the money come from? And I think one of the answers that was given by, I think, Mr. Cawley dealt with revenue bonds. And that certainly is an option. It's a very attractive option because if you use revenue bonds, you do not pledge the faith and credit of the city, meaning under a worst case scenario, the property, the assets, everything that belongs to the city is not lost. Only the revenues and those things that are associated with the water system itself. And then the third point, even though Reverend McCullough made this comment, I think just in jest, he was asking about his street. Well, that's what this really gets down to, because with the precipitous increase in the retirement costs that you just covered, the fact is the money for the operation and maintenance of streets and everything else has to come from somewhere. So in my view, instead of asking people for more money, because that was one of the questions, are we going to ask for more taxes? The answer is no. That's precisely what we're trying to avoid, and this represents, I guess, a vehicle that can be used for that purpose. So I wanted to be sure to cover those 3 points that he raised. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could, the last concern or comment that I'd like to address is Ms. Ford's comment relative to her concern that these kinds of utility acquisitions would hinder economic development. I am, in addition to one of the hats I wear is for one of my parishes in South Louisiana, St. James Parish. I'm the economic development consultant for St. James Parish. And one of the things that we've found over the years is in St. James Parish and in communities throughout the state that owning utilities, municipally owned utilities, become economic development tools, not hindrances. The ability to run a water line for DG Foods, to expand that water line, to give them more water pressure for fire suppression, sometimes make the difference between whether you land them or you lose them. And the ability for the city to be able to make that decision brings jobs where if you were dealing with a private company for that service, it may not end up being cost effective. You can do what it takes to bring jobs to the community. And and those utility companies give you another arrow in your quiver when it comes to landing new jobs.
That is absolutely correct, Mr. Nasaka, because in working with DG Food, Viola Water has been at the table with us every step of the way. It has been an absolute necessity to have them engaged in the wastewater treatment. So it is an additional tool. Are there any other points, Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Nasaka?
To comment on my comments again.
Mayor, may I make a comment, please?
It's not on the agenda item.
Thanks.
No, sir.
But Mayor, the closing comment that I would make is, I think that on all of the questions that everybody raised, I think that we can provide a response to this. And I would very much like to submit it to where people can read it and see it and come to understand it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's true. Those who are present here tonight, we have roughly maybe 100 people present. Mr. McKee, you do well at a quick count. That represents about 1% of the total population for the city of Bastrop. So we will make information available through some public information releases based on the notes that have been taken tonight, and that way the entire city can be privy to that information. These are not, you're not on the agenda. We have to have a consensus of the entire, excuse me.
Yeah, we just asked the name of the advisor that was up there speaking. We don't know his name.
Okay. Mr. Steve, I introduced him initially, Steve Nasaka. He's our financial advisor. He's from Baton Rouge. He has been our financial advisor for a number of years. Mr. Nasaka.
Can it be answered? How much does this cost the city to be looking into this? The attorney fees and the advisor?
Excuse me. At the proper time, all of your questions, I appreciate your concerns, all of your questions will be answered. Mr. Lawrence is taking notes.
Yes, I am. I have those things noted.
We will make that information available to you. Thank you for your interest. Item number 16, Resolution 111370, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Bastrop to enter into a contract with Lewis and Ellis Incorporation to provide actuary service for the GASB 45 compliance. Ms. Sandra Goldman.
Mayor and Council, this here is one of the things that our legislative auditor is requiring us to do. It deals with the projection of health insurance to our employees as well as our retirees. And we're trying to negotiate a contract to get in compliance so that way we can finish our audit for this year. Whenever we end on June 30th, we'll have the figures, and it's more like a projected thing that they make us do on accounting. So we were asking you to give the mayor permission to negotiate and also to enter into a contract so they can start working.
Thank you, Ms. Goldman. What is your pleasure on item number 16?
May I make that motion on resolution number 111370?
We have a motion.
Second.
And second. Any questions? Discussion? Public comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 17, Resolution 11-1371, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city to enter into a contract with Denman Engineering for engineering service for the sewer for DG Foods. Mr. Lawrence.
Mayor, this is related to an upgrade or an extension of the existing sewer plant that's needed for the new DG Foods plant. And because the city owns the sewer system, it has to contract for the engineering services. Denman Engineering has been and served as the city's engineer on these projects. In order for us to be able to engage them, this body needs to vote to approve that. I will tell you that the state of Louisiana, through Kelsey Short, has committed the funds that are required to cover the cost that is associated with those engineering services. They will flow through DG Foods and come through the city. We put together a remittance agreement to make sure that those dollars flow from the state to DG, to the city, and then to Denman.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I've been in contact with DG Food, Mr. Kelsey Short, frequently. In fact, pretty much every week we've had conference calls on the progress of DG Food. At this time, I will entertain a motion on the information provided by Mr. Lawrence.
So move.
Properly moved
I second that motion.
and second. Are there any questions, discussions, public comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 18, Resolution 11-1372, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city to enter into a contract with Denman Engineering for engineering service for industrial park project. Mr. Lawrence and Steve Nasaka.
Mayor, this is a completely different project that Denman is being engaged for. Their engineering services are needed in association with the industrial park site that is under consideration. There's a lot of preliminary engineering work that needs to be done, and they cannot be hired unless they are engaged by you and the Board of Aldermen for that purpose.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Nasaka?
As you are already aware, but for the public benefit, we solicited proposals from engineering firms to support this. Remember, this is part of the federal and state grant project for development of an industrial park. We solicited proposals, received 4, had 5 people review, and Denman Engineering scored highest based on the objective criteria that we had put forward in the request for qualifications. We had EDA, the feds, the federal government, the Economic Development Administration. We had them review our RFQ before we went out with it to make sure they felt comfortable that it was a valid solicitation document. They concurred. We did. We received 4. We ranked. Denman's the highest on all cards. And keep in mind, this process, with your authorization, we will negotiate a contract with Denman Engineering. We'll submit that to EDA for their approval and concurrence before it's a valid contract. So we're asking you to approve and allow the mayor to authorize the mayor's execution of that, and that execution will be contingent upon EDA's approval.
This is a part of the grant, right? This is a part of the grant?
Yes, it is. It'll be paid for from the grant. Yes, sir. Well, and keep in mind, remember, through this grant, we've got a combination of federal money, state money, and city money.
Okay.
So it's not all paid for by the feds. You're paying for a portion of this as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Nasaka. Having heard this information provided by our attorney and our financial advisor, I will entertain a motion at this time.
I make a motion, Mayor, for Resolution 11-1372.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Are there any questions, discussion, public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 19, Resolution 11-1373, a resolution authorizing the mayor on the behalf of the city to enter into a contract with Viola Water for the operation of the city's sewer system. Mr. Lawrence.
Mayor, this is in effect a renewal of a standing agreement that the city has had probably for the better part of past 10, 15 years with Veola Water to provide operation and maintenance services for the city sewer system. And so it requires the vote of this body and the mayor to approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I will entertain a motion.
Any questions?
Excuse me? I have not gotten to that point yet. Okay. I will entertain a motion.
So move.
Properly moved
A second.
and second. Are there any questions? Discussion? Public comments? Now you may speak, sir.
Sorry, I apologize.
If you will come back to the microphone.
Yes, I need to say my name and information.
No, sir,
I just wanted to know what this is. There a bid process for this service?
Mr. Lawrence?
The standard procurement process has been followed. This is a service, and so there is not a mandatory requirement for a bid.
Closed in, no one else could get an opportunity to provide that service for the city? Possibility of someone, maybe not us, but someone could do it, a quality service for less price?
I'm sure we'd be interested in receiving your proposal.
Is there a proposal packet or procedure that we could follow or get some information on?
We'd be more than glad to submit it whether or not there is one.
There's not one now.
We'll be glad to receive one if you have one.
Do I need to create one for you? I don't.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is